and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, and we've been on the air with DATV approaching 10 years, if you can believe that. I am officially a senior myself. That is the truth. This show has been broadcast all over the United States, including, of course, YouTube. For those of you that are following me, you cannot help but be inspired and empowered by the information and the guests I've offered to you, my faithful viewing audience, over the years. So again, without further ado, today's guest, and I am so honored to have this remarkable woman coming in to our studio and station by way of Zoom, and that is Melissa Powers, Esquire. She is the Hamilton County Prosecuting Attorney, governing the County of Hamilton and its citizens. A powerful, powerful woman. She is also, and the reason she is here today is because, as many of you know, I have had a very real concern about our senior population and our citizenry nationally as it pertains to seniors. Well, this woman got it done, and she has started an elder justice unit in the county of Hamilton in the state of Ohio. And needless to say, the mantra of seniors deserve our attention, respect, and protection. Did you hear this? They deserve our attention, respect, and protection. So I am honored to have her here to talk about this. Is one of many roles that she plays, but it is very relevant to where we are today. Listen, viewers, by the year 2035, our senior population will represent nationally over 81% of the citizens of this country. Now, that is staggering. And when most people hear this, they're like, what? And I'm like, yes. So how can we not give them our most serious consideration in terms of policy, legislation, social concerns, etc. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest for the next hour, no interruptions, Melissa Powers, who is Hamilton County Prosecutor. Good morning, Ms. Powers.
Good morning, Michelle. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on your program and to share my passion with you and all of your listeners to protect our seniors. Our seniors have worked hard throughout their lives, have saved their money, have planned for retirement, and they are just ripe for scammers to take advantage of them. I'm also concerned about making sure that seniors that are not abused or neglected. And so I developed the Elder Justice Unit in Hamilton County. In my office, I've assigned dedicated prosecutors to prosecute crimes that are committed against our elderly and our seniors, and we are off and running. This has been long needed, and as you said, the senior population is exploding. In Hamilton County, currently, we're around 20% of the population are seniors. It's anyone over the age of 65. In just a few years, as you noted, they believe that population will increase to 30%. So again, with the advent of internet technology, it's making our seniors easy and prey for those that want to take advantage of them and steal their money. So I started the unit not just a few months ago. We've had our first outreach program at a senior center, and I was so happy to meet you there and that you attended. And the idea of going out to the seniors and meet with them and educate them is to give them knowledge. Knowledge is a very powerful tool to be used against those that may want to commit crimes against seniors and scam them. So by teaching our seniors, giving them the information about popular scams, and these scams all take different forms. They adjust as they go along, but they all kind of have the same type of common traits. And I think many of your listeners have probably heard of being asked to pay in gift cards at Target, for example. That's just one example. some type of scam that's out there that's been very popular in our community.
Well, may I ask you, because what provoked you with your full plate as prosecuting attorney? It's never going to stop with criminals and what they do. And what made you identify the elderly population as a target group in the days that we're in and moving aggressively into a new year? What made you do this?
I think about my parents. I think about my in-laws. I think about my friends who have told me stories about how people have taken advantage of their parents. And it just, all those stories just break your heart. I mean, I think it's the lowest of the low, an unscrupulous type of person that wants to take advantage of anybody that could be vulnerable. And because the seniors are just more trusting, I think they want to cling to hope. They're a different generation, and the world has changed dramatically. I think with internet, we're more connected, and phone calls and telephone scammers or internet scams, they can come from the black web, they can come from countries far away, such as Nigeria or India, and they're stealing money from our seniors. It happened to my parents. It happened to my in-laws. My in-laws were vulnerable, and they fell to the tech scam. Their computer locked up, and in order to get access to their computer again, they were told they had to give money. And my parents were approached by the grandparent scam. And I can talk more about the details of these as we go along in your program. But they were approached, and luckily they thought to call me to check on it. But they even though they didn't believe the scam, they were thinking, well, what if? What if their grandson was in trouble? And because of that willingness to be helpful, I think that's again a trait of our senior population. I want to protect our seniors, and when you're the prosecutor, my job is a public safety, right? Make sure that our public is safe. And a lot of emphasis by up until now, I think, has always been on protecting the most vulnerable. I was a juvenile court judge. I wanted to work with children. Children get a lot of attention, but who doesn't get a lot of attention by law enforcement are seniors. And I saw that throughout my career. And now that I'm in charge, I know there was a real gap here in our services to Hamilton County, and I wanted to provide that to them. I'm just so excited about my outreach program. We have a lot of community partners that we're working with throughout our community. And my goal is to build this safety net for seniors and to be a resource for our seniors when we go out and do our outreach to the community. So we have those partnerships are attending and provide services if needed, answer questions when we do our outreach to the community, and going into our senior centers. Knowledge obviously is a wonderful weapon to use against anyone that wants to take advantage of you. So I feel like we're arming our seniors so that they can protect themselves and be able to build a strong community for them.
Well, if I might say, this is a massive problem. I myself, and I consider myself somewhat savvy. I mean, I'm in the financial services industry, Medicare and all of that. And I'm telling you, it happens in a blink, And then just this week, I went to pay a recurrent bill online. And they responded back, they were having a problem with my card. And I went back and re-inputted the information. And in the 1 minute, less than 60 seconds, while it was processing, my card was hacked and shut down.
Yeah.
And I went into shock because I was having breakfast at a restaurant here in Blue Ash, where my offices are, and my card would not work. And the owner said, Michelle, I know you're good for the money. I said, and somebody else is too right now. So I had to deal with the bank and fraud, And they said it is so regular now that they don't even have adequacy of staff to deal with all of this stuff in less than 60 seconds. So I applaud what you're doing. And viewers, this is my testimony. What Hamilton County's prosecuting attorney, and for those of you that watch from all over the United States, you need to be making phone calls to your state legislators to have something like this in place for your particular county. The laws are on the books, but the problem is having people that are passionate and committed to making it happen in your specific county, like Madam Powers has done, so that seniors can get help. And I would just like to know, what has been your experience in this short period of time? Are you all getting calls, Ms.
Yes.
Powers?
Yes. So to facilitate the effort of protecting our seniors, I developed a scam helpline. So the phone number is 513-946-SCAM. And anyone can call to report a scam, or they suspect there's a scam, or just to make us aware. We want our seniors to be calling in, or just even family members to be calling in when some type of financial exploitation has been occurring. And then we can then get that information out to the community so everybody is aware that this current scam is popular right now. We are averaging somewhere between 30 and 50 calls a week that are making reports, and we're following up. Some are being referred out. We just got a phone call this morning involving a senior at a nursing home, and made that referral. But we're here to help. Really, almost any issue involving seniors. And it may be that it may be involving abuse and neglect as well, which this phone call was today. But we're also getting many reports about mainly telephone scams. That's the most common form of a senior being approached, is through the telephone. And they use cleverly designed phone tricks to try to get a senior to give money, or private information involving their banking information over the phone. If it involves a crime, our prosecutors are reviewing the cases, and then we make the referral, or actually do the direct indictment through the grand jury if it rises to that level. But we get law enforcement involved to do the investigation. I also have my own investigators that can provide the and get the case prepared if it's going to go that direction. But basically, any senior that's taken advantage of, in my opinion, it's heart-wrenching. It should never happen, and it's completely unacceptable here in Hamilton County.
I am proud to hear you say that for Hamilton County. My concern as well, which is something that has been always difficult to get enforcement, is when family children and grandchildren are involved in financial abuse of seniors. They scam their money, they invade their bank accounts, and they intimidate. Are you finding that pattern as well from your experience?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. A lot of times the threat comes from within. So within the family, it could even be a caregiver that's taking care of the senior. And those are the most difficult to prosecute, only because the parent does not want to prosecute their child. When we have successful prosecutions, it's usually involving siblings that are going forward with the cooperation of the parent, the senior. So it does present problems, but it's not impossible. But you're absolutely right. Family members, depleting bank accounts or coercing and exerting undue influence over the senior in order to gain money, stealing from them. It could be property and selling it. And it also can be where they actually change legal documents in their favor through coercion. So we see all of that. But we're paying special attention, and I'm putting my dedicated prosecutors that have been trained and experienced to handle these cases. And as I said, we have our own investigators to work on the cases as well. And then we work closely with law enforcement.
This is so much an issue with me because way in the day, my great uncle changed documents and put his granddaughter on his power of attorney, which is a very powerful document, viewers. All of you should have them, but do understand that legally he gave her himself, because that's how the world and business views a power of attorney. And she refinanced his home, stripped it, bought a car, spent, and he found himself, because he did not know, he found himself facing a foreclosure because no payments were ever made on the mortgage. So I share with people, and he would not prosecute her, because that was my first response, which is, we are going to sue her. We are going to prosecute. And he said, oh, Michelle, I'm too old. I don't want to create problems. And I said, $60,000 is a lot of a problem. That's your life savings. And he would not, to his death, some years later, he would not prosecute her. The house was sold in a quiet sale, and he moved into a senior facility, but he would not prosecute her. Is this some of the things that you run into as well?
We do, and so, like I said, it makes it difficult to prosecute it. And as far as I'm concerned, the niece, your great niece or niece,
yes, his
her
niece.
morality is not how anyone can do that is just beyond what I can understand. But it happens, and it happens very frequently. And there's nothing we can do. If we can make the case without the senior participating, we go forward. But that's really a difficult burden for us. So it doesn't happen frequently, but it can be done on some rare occasions. But most often, the senior needs to participate in the prosecution of someone that has taken advantage of them.
Why do you think, is it because they come from a different generation of truly honorable citizens, people that were willing to give other people grace and forgiveness? Is that, do you think that's what's happening
Oh,
here?
absolutely. I think our seniors, they're trusting, they've worked hard their entire life. They have their morals and their values are at the highest more so than even the younger generation.
Yes.
They respect and authority. They give you their word. They can do a business on a handshake. I mean, these things just don't happen in today's world. So the world has changed dramatically from when they were there. But they also, it sounds like your uncle has a great love, and that means the most to him. And money isn't as important at the end of his life. But what it does do, it takes away from everybody else in the family. And basically, they're stealing from a family member. And that just cannot be tolerated. It's just completely unacceptable.
I agree. And that's why I have been so proactive on this in my private practice, as well as publicly on television and radio. I just think that as we are in these times where things are unbuckling, including family relationships, that seniors need to be, as I said, the 3 A's. You need to be awoke. You need to be not only awoke, but you need to be aware, and then you need to be alert. And it doesn't mean that you have to be in a state of paranoia, but we are in a fast-moving time, and things can happen, like I said, in less than 60 seconds. My card had been compromised and shut down. The bank's fraud people immediately intercepted and shut it down, which I'm very grateful. I am so grateful. But it does let us know that you had better be alert to your neighbors. What's the involvement of the community as you're moving forward? What are you doing, Madam Powers, on this matter?
Michelle, so we're continuing our outreach, going to senior centers, retirement communities throughout Hamilton County, because we want the seniors to master the art of scam detection. I want the seniors to understand how to protect their finances. And I also want them to help us help them. by communicating and calling our scam line to alert us what's happening out in the community so that we can then be the voice to push that information out. And the other piece to this is developing what I'm calling my scam or fraud watch network. And so you can, every senior, every person in the county can be a part of it by just joining our email list so that we can keep them alert, keep them educated, remind them what's happening out there so that they are aware. So the phone number for the scam line is 513-946-SCAM. But if you want to join our email, they can do so by going to hdpros.org and join our email to be part of the network for all seniors or family members. Anybody can join. And then we're pushing information out that way, in addition to the outreach or in addition to using our media. Another way they can follow along is at scam@hcpros.org, or follow my Facebook page, Melissa Powers, Hamilton County Prosecutor. There's information that we're constantly pushing out. But continue. I would hope that our seniors will help other seniors by keeping us informed what they're seeing and what's happening out there. Not too long ago, I was receiving texts from FedEx saying, click on this because we can't deliver a package.
Yes.
Don't click on anything like that. Don't click on it on your phone. Don't click on it on your computer because they're scamming you. They're trying to get information. This is the kind of stuff that we want to teach everybody to be aware of so they do not get taken advantage of by some unscrupulous people that are out, maybe not in our community, but maybe around the world. Because we can't prosecute those kind of people. We can't catch them. That's why if we give you the tools to be able to protect yourself, that's our way to combat it. And we'll have the smartest seniors here in Hamilton County. They'll be so armed and equipped and be so sharp that nothing like this will happen. The banks were involved with the financial institutions too. And we want to make sure that we are working closely with them. So my white collar guys, my prosecutors that handle white collar crimes and are very familiar with more complex financial scams, or if it's even involving someone getting a hold of your bank information, we want to be able to prosecute them. And so we're working closely with banks. And also going forward, we're working with Adult Protective Services through Hamilton County Job and Family Services.
Good.
And so if there's seniors being abused or neglected, because that happens, again, sometimes the threat is within the own family, or it could be a caregiver. We want to be there to be able to protect the senior that may not have that voice or be able to reach out to others and get that information out. So we're working very closely with these nursing homes and communities to make sure that they are taking good care of our seniors too.
That is so wonderful.
Thank you.
And I do mean it because, as most of you that are older know, you don't process information the same way as when you were younger. And with technology today and now AI, artificial intelligence, actively copying and doing all kinds of things that were just simply unheard of in their generation, and even as recently as a decade ago. These things were unheard of. And now they are here. And frankly, including myself, and I came out of grad school with limited knowledge of computers, but today we're at warp speed. And I'm just wondering if seniors, are you finding that they are understanding the necessity for getting the information out and beginning to look at their own situation? Are you having that experience?
We are, and like I said, our helpline is very active, and we are leaving no stone unturned on every single call. We do follow up, like I said, in referrals. We get law enforcement involved if necessary. My investigators are working cases if they need to be worked, and our prosecutors are right on top of the cases. So we're identifying any case that involves an elderly person and whether or not they were targeted specifically because of their age. So we're here to protect. We're here to keep people safe. And as you said, sometimes seniors are taken advantage of because of neurological issues, whether it's
Right.
dementia, Alzheimer's, things along those lines. And we really need the family members to keep us, informed as to what's happening with their parents that may not have the mental capacity as well. So it's really, I really am just so passionate about this. I've always wanted to protect the vulnerable. And in this case, this whole class has never really been addressed here in Hamilton County. And I'm not so sure it's being addressed in other places as well.
It's not.
But we really want to be on top of this for our community because we value our seniors. And the idea that if somebody would take advantage of my family member is so hurtful and so painful that, after you realize my parents sacrificed, and I'm sure every senior has, they sacrificed so much in saving. They came from the Depression
Yes,
generation,
yes,
and
they did.
you saved, you sacrificed, you reused. I mean, this is how they went through life. And then for someone to take that away from them in an unscrupulous manner is just unconscionable to me. It just cannot happen. I don't want it to happen. And the idea that maybe someday they could be taken advantage of or hurt in a nursing home, that just cannot happen.
No.
So I look at every one of these seniors as if they were my loved one. And that's what has driven me to develop this program and this elder justice unit in our community.
Well, I certainly, as I shared earlier, I will be on radio and a radio station in South Carolina. And I am going to send them this show so they can see it, because I checked with the Department of Justice. These laws are on the books,
Right.
but there's no apparatus in place to enforce and criminalize these things. So my belief is that you are at the very top of what is going to be a very major national movement. And I certainly expect you to be the spokesperson for Hamilton County on what is happening in our community. Now, if you're comfortable with this next subject, because at the seminar, the gentleman who was so well spoken, he talked about the widows and these love situations, which,
Yes.
what can you do as the prosecutor? And would you care to talk about that?
Well, one of the top scams against senior, believe it or not, are romance scams, which kind of surprised me because I related to my own mother. My father just passed a couple years ago, but the romance scam, my mother wouldn't be interested at all, but there are plenty of widows out there that may be taken by the attention given by somebody that they might meet over the internet. Sometimes it can be in person, but they start developing a relationship, and then the next thing you know, they're asking for money. And believe it or not, the women are just sending thousands and thousands of dollars, sometimes to people they've never met. They're sending it over the internet. And those are cases, obviously, anything where the perpetrators on the internet is going to be very, very difficult for us to prosecute and recoup that money or put somebody behind bars for taking advantage of a senior. But when it happens in person, we've got a better shot at it because we can then identify the person who's probably using not their real name to begin with anyway, and may have a whole different life somewhere else that we don't even know about. So my warning is to any widow out there that might be very, very careful and don't give your money to them. Even if they claim they need it for some family or whatever, do not give the money and then see if the relationship's still there. I have a feeling they would walk away very quickly and move on to the next target that they want to take advantage of. So please do not give your money to anybody that you're romantically involved in. They should have their own money.
Exactly, they should. And I was absolutely floored when I was told at this workshop that it was one of the number one scams, the romance and love. And in talking to others, apparently quite a few widows do know about this, and I have a sneaking suspicion that some of them have given money to these outfits or people because they are lonely. And COVID was a problem with loneliness, but now we're still dealing with women that don't have companions. And that information, viewers, is public information. When you look at the obituary, it will tell you his widow's name in many cases.
Exactly.
And it's very easy to cross-reference to find out what her phone number is and where they live. This is public information. So what are your thoughts?
You're exactly right. These people, these predators, they go through the obituaries, and the next thing you know, they're showing up and finding out information. And as you know, you can Google almost anybody and find out information that can lead you to find out where they live, etc. So that's the world we're in. It, like you
Yes.
said, it moves at warp speed. But I just met with 6 senior ladies.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and recently, just this past week, and I told them about the romance scam, and they said, asked them if any of them had any interest or finding that, because they live in a retirement home.
Okay.
So, I was asking about that, and they said no, none of them had any interest, and they all stuck together, which was nice. And they gave me a saying, which I think was pretty clever, that they have no interest because the men either want a nurse or a purse. And so I thought that was interesting.
Well, I must tell my viewers, you just heard it, a nurse or a purse, and you're not either. Most widows have had to nurse sick husbands, and they're tired, and they certainly don't want to be tired and broke, which would just, to me, be unbearable, just dealing with what we're having today, the breach of trust. But what is the role of their support systems for seniors? And when I talk about support systems, the church or the synagogue or the mosque or whomever they deal with in their spiritual life as well as their social life, do you encourage seniors, particularly women, since so many seniors are women today, to begin to actively network with other people in their networks and communities?
You're absolutely right. Networking is key. Isolation, as you've mentioned previously, is a big issue. And so I would encourage seniors not to get out. Keep your relationships with your family if close. Be involved with children. Get involved in activities with your church. If you can volunteer, get involved that way.
Yeah.
But another wonderful support system are neighbors, checking up on each other and making sure that each of you are doing well if you haven't seen your neighbor. And it doesn't have to be a senior checking on you. It can just be any neighbor. So that's always a nice support system as well.
I think those points are very well taken. Are there any other areas, because I do know that your schedule is tight, and I want to make sure we've covered any other areas that you think my viewers and listeners need to be aware of as they proceed forward?
Well, I'd like to just give them a list of common traits of scams. These are red flags to look out for. So here they are, and I've just put a 5 points together for your program. So if you receive an unusual or an unsolicited correspondence from a known organization, something out of the ordinary, this could be a scam. You win a contest you've never entered, such as a sweepstake. That's a common scam. Being told you have a problem with your account and to click here, don't do that. Just go ahead and call your credit card or financial institution and talk to them directly. So hang up on what you're being told over the phone or by the internet. Don't click on it. If you are feeling pressured to act immediately, like in the example I gave with my parents, with the grandparents, scam. They had to immediately get money, get through Target cards. And then that's my last one, which is you're given an odd specific instruction how to make a payment to get the money there to them. And I think all of us now in Target's even aware when they see seniors buying lots and lots of gift cards, that's probably a scam, and they tell the seniors to help them.
That's very good information. And I would also say, I know you're working heavily with banks. The tellers and the branch managers of most banks and credit unions do know their customer. And when people are taking out large sums of money, and I know the tellers ask, but I think people need to be aware of the fact that a bank only has limited scope in terms of your personal affairs. Do you want to speak to that?
Well, and I think that speaks about the senior generation. They go to the bank. My generation and younger, we all do it by either our computer or
Yep.
phone. But the great thing is that our seniors go to the bank. They write checks, right? They make their deposits in person, and so they get to know your teller so that they can kind of keep an eye on the account. If they're seeing these multiple withdrawals and things, it may alert that maybe a family member or somebody got a hold of their bank account information. So check your bank statements too, so that you can be aware of what's happening with your own account. A friend of mine was telling me that not too long ago, that a family member was stealing from their parents' account and slow withdrawals using a feature called Afterpay. And I'm not even aware of Afterpay, but apparently you can make small payments on purchases, but somehow the family member got that information from the bank account and was able to withdraw over $50,000. So it can be scary. Just keep aware of your finances. And I think that's a great way to keep yourself protected. And then the last thing I'd like to just add is, please use our scam line or go to our website so that you can get involved and be part of our watch network. It's only going to be as strong as those that participate in it. So the more participation, the more people are making us aware of what's happening out there, the more we can get information out to our seniors in our community.
I think what you've given is excellent advice, and I would also like to say that I encourage people to go to my website as well, Michelle Y. Graves on Facebook, and I do publish periodically, but with greater frequency, scam situations that come to my attention as a part of my active involvement with the senior community. Again, awareness is everything. Please come out of the cave of memories. Those days are behind us. We have to be actively aware and alert. And that means just what I said, aware and and alert. And people such as what the Elder Justice Unit that is headed by Melissa Powers, our Hamilton County prosecuting attorney, an absolutely dynamic woman. I love her passion and I love what she is doing. This is the face of a newer generation of prosecutors, and I firmly believe that she is on the cutting edge. She is going to do what she has promised, and she's going to make a difference. And I'm just very honored to have her as my guest on the show today. And again, I encourage you to call. If you have concerns, call the number in Cincinnati, 513-946-SCAM, SCAM. And again, it's been my experience that they're going to get it done. She's not going to play around with it. And my hope and my sincere prayer is that this becomes more than just Hamilton County, but that this becomes a national movement. We know there's a lot going on, but we must protect the things that are precious to us. And that is no disregard for overseas money and everything else, but we must protect our own, those who are precious to us. And however you interpret that, just make sure it includes the word senior. So, Melissa, are you still there?
I am, and thank you so much, Michelle, for having me on. It was truly an honor to speak with you, and it's nice to see you again. And thank
It's
you
same
again
here.
for the
And
kind words. We are going to be pushing forward and working very hard to protect our seniors.
well, I appreciate you, and I'm going to move on from this Zoom call. And I've been talking to Melissa Powers, who is a Hamilton County prosecuting attorney, and she has birthed a new unit in her already busy schedule. The Elder Justice Unit. Seniors deserve our attention, respect, and protection. And so she was my guest. I've got a few closing comments I'd like to make today on this subject matter. And again, I'm going to speak openly to those of you who are viewing. And I ask for your prayers, very simply, because you don't make friends when you are pointing out family members especially that are doing things that are illegal and most significantly immoral. Where is your integrity? And again, with this generation coming up behind us, I don't know, but I do know this, that in times past, people were not on top of it. And I was increasingly alarmed over the last 10 years because of what I've seen in my practice, behaviors of people at funerals. You are not entitled, viewers, to assets from your parents if they have chosen otherwise. Now, you can argue with me till the cows come in and the chickens stop clucking, but here is the truth. If they did not allocate you anything by way of a will or trust or actual daily living, they're not obligated, and you do not have the right to take something that is not yours. That's called thievery. And while it is shocking and dismaying for me personally to see this happening more and more and more to the most vulnerable, please be advised, and I don't want to sound like I'm judging or preaching, but I do believe in payback. I do. I believe that people who do these things, you're going to wind up having it done to you, and much more and greater impact than when you did it. People call it the law of karma. I say is reaping what you sow. If you sow thievery, you will be preyed upon when you are most vulnerable. So it is my personal belief system that we need to, as seniors, put things in place. And let me just say, one of the first things you want to do is to make sure that you have a list somewhere of where all of your accounts are, account numbers, credit card, bank, will, everything you have, your important documents. Someone you trust should be able to get to those and get to those quickly. With technology and so much going on today, you can wind up, again, being scammed online because a person has access to your password information and your bank account information. Right. How do they have it? Because you gave it to them. Okay, it's not like that today. Write that stuff down, put it in a safe place. Whoever's your power of attorney should also have that list. Now, a common question that is asked of me in the area of financial exploitation is, Michelle, who can I trust? And I will tell you, based on 40 years of working with all kinds of seniors and people, you trust carefully. And please don't do this to your pastor, because they cannot take that kind of responsibility. But you do not have to use a family member. You have to identify someone who you can trust that has exhibited over a long time the characteristics that you feel are necessary for a trustworthy person. And don't tell me I don't know anybody, because I'm going to challenge your assumptions about that. There are people who you can trust, who you've known for years and have shown themselves to be honorable. They may not even live in the same city, but with technology, you can make that information available to them. And certainly when you have your will done and those instruments, just making sure that you waive their requirement to post a bond. That can get sticky if a person's living out of state and they have to probate or handle your estate. You want to make sure that you don't require them to post a cash bond, period. That's just some free advice. I'm not an attorney, so do not beat me. I'm just sharing with you on those kinds of things that you want to take advantage. The other thing is that if you still don't have someone you can trust, this might be a very good time in your life to entertain looking and considering, who can I trust? When I do seminars, and I do them all over, that is the biggest hurdle we have coming in to talking about financial survival and what I need to do as a senior to get through it. Establishing relationships, because as you grow older, more and more your friends have transitioned. You don't have the same relationship. But also recognize that if you have serious assets, and when I say serious assets, I would say anything over 100,000, you can talk to your trust department at any bank that has a trust department. And they can step to the table and offer, didn't say free, because nothing in life, you didn't get your age thinking that everything was free. You do have to pay people for their time and their energy and their resources. That is the nature of relationships when it comes to finances. You can't just wing-ding it and hope for the best. But I'm telling you, and this is something I believe strongly, that banks do have a fiduciary responsibility to attend to their clients. And in that area of trust, you can talk to the trust department and find out if there is a junior trust officer who would be willing to assume those responsibilities. You can also look at, in terms of the area of trust, you can also deal with the attorney that you're working with, who may have drafted your legal documents as per your will and estate planning. Attorneys are trained and they are under an oath of honor. Now, like everything else, they're creepy crawlers, but I refuse to believe that the majority of attorneys fit that definition. And I believe they bring tremendous value considering the headaches they have to go through, whether they're divorce attorneys trying to deal with equitable distribution, or estate planning attorneys looking very carefully at your life story. These are people that are in positions of trust, integrity, and honor, and you should avail yourself. Now, if you did a do-it-yourself trust or do-it-yourself will off of internet, then you get what you get. And I'm not trying to be insensitive, but America, the United States of America, is a country that is bound by laws. Who do you think drafted the laws? Attorneys. We have a constitution that was framed by founding fathers, men who had a legal understanding. They were just not off the wall people. These men were substantial people, and they wanted to make sure that the foundation of our country was legal, meaning if you don't like it, you can challenge it all the way up to the Supreme Court, but they are attorneys as well. They're trained. So the system was set up in such a way as to make sure that your best interests were always considered. So when we're looking at things that are happening today with hacking and internet love, I heard a woman talk about, I couldn't let go of him. You never even saw him. But there was something in her that was yearning for attention, and she depleted all her money. This is not a fake. This is a true story. And she's not alone. So please proceed carefully. Please proceed with information. And I pray that Melissa Powers, prosecuting attorney for Hamilton County, Ohio, that's where I live. Cincinnati is one of those cities within her scope of authority. I hope you listened, and for those of you that are not in this area that watch this show faithfully, call your legislators and tell them, get moving. Come together. We are the people that make the difference in this country. People that sit around and do nothing, you don't have anything coming because you didn't say anything. So those are my closing thoughts for today's segment on financial exploitation of seniors and the Elder Justice Initiative and Unit from Melissa Powers, prosecuting attorney. Yep, she replaced Joe Dieters, who went on to go to the Ohio Supreme Court, and boy, oh boy, that boy was something else. But she, in a very kind and very, very firm way, because that's what women do, is getting it done. I thank you for being a part of today's show, and I look forward to you being a part of this initiative as we move forward into the 21st century. Take care and God bless you. I'm Michelle Graves, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.